All right. Today we are going to talk about the 10 top reasons why homeowners want to and basically need to just sell their house fast. Back in the day, before email and technology and how we communicate in business and in the world, real estate took forever. The process of selling a house took months, almost always. You had to mail contracts to each other back and forth, sign, notarize. There was no email, there was no DocuSign, there was no texting. It took forever. So thankfully, in today's world, the process is way quicker, which helps. But why would someone need the process to be even faster than it already is? So we're going to review the 10 top reasons that homeowners would need to sell a house fast. The first one is code violations. And a lot of these two, you can kind of feel the pain that people are going through when they're dealing with these issues. Some are harder than others. I'll just preface that. Or maybe not harder is the right word, but some are, they come with more baggage and more challenges than others. Some may be a little easier to deal with, but let's jump right in. So code violations on a house is one of the top reasons why someone would need to sell it. Depending on the city that you live in, the regulations to own a home might be very strict. And it's not the case for all cities, but some are very, very strict, and they enforce all their rules to a T. So the second that your lawn is, not cut and your grass is too high or there's too much garbage outside of your house, right away the city's going to ding you with a fine and a violation, and you're going to need to do something about it. And over time, these code violations can add up, and if you have multiple properties, maybe it's tough to balance all that stuff. So that's one reason why a homeowner in today's world would still need to and want to sell a house fast. Reason number 2, inheriting a house. This one also comes with lots of emotion and lots to deal with. Oftentimes there's multiple people involved, whether it's family members, friends, interested parties in the property, depending on who the property was passed down by and who it's going to, if there was a will, if there wasn't a will, lots of factors here. It's very situational in terms of how it plays out, but that's definitely a reason why someone would want to sell a house fast, because not everyone wants to own a house. Maybe they already own one house and they live there and they don't want to own a second one. Not everyone wants to be a landlord. That's a huge factor too. So then the next best thing is just to try and sell it as quickly as possible. There might be a mortgage on it. There might be payments on it that now they have to also take on, unfortunately. So that's definitely a big reason why people today want to sell a house fast. Reason number 3 is if you're dealing with tenants. You have tenants, and maybe you became a landlord when you didn't expect it. You were kind of sharing your house with some family members and friends, and then your friends, they pay you some money here and there, and boom, you have tenants, and then boom, you have to be a landlord and go through all these things and meet all these requirements and maintain the property for other people. So that's a reason why people and certain homeowners just don't want to deal with it. If you're an accidental landlord, like in that instance, or if you just have a string of bad luck and you've vetted the tenants before you brought them on and they ended up being great, but then they hit a string of bad luck and now you're dealing with this whole situation. So you can definitely get beat up a bit as a homeowner and a landlord by tenants. They're not all bad, definitely not saying that, but that is a reason why some homeowners just want to sell a house as fast as possible. Reason number 4, preforeclosure. And this kind of bundles up with just like any kind of money issues that you're dealing with, any kind of liens. But obviously preforeclosure is one of the most common ones. That's when you're behind on mortgage payments, and that can happen for a multitude of reasons. And we understand that life can be super tough, so it does happen to people. You can lose your job out of nowhere and then have trouble paying your bills. It's just as simple as that. And then the city gets involved sometimes, depending on where you live, or the bank gets involved and the bank needs their money and you got to pay them, and all this stuff just makes it pretty stressful to deal with and continue owning the house. So for that reason, sometimes homeowners just want to sell a house fast and get rid of it. Reason number 5 is dealing with an eviction. So this is like the second tier underneath dealing with tenants or bad tenants, is actually going through the eviction process as a landlord. It's not fun. It's different again for every city. I know I've said that a lot. So just always do research depending on where you live and what requirements you have to meet depending on where you live and where your house is located. But going through an eviction is not a fun process. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and it's stressful. And it just sucks, basically. So that's definitely a reason why homeowners and landlords just want to get rid of that property, especially if you're in a tenant-friendly place where the laws, I wouldn't want to say are stacked against you, but maybe certain tenants, they know how to kind of work the system against you. And the eviction process just doesn't look pretty, no matter which way you slice it. So for that reason, homeowners oftentimes just want to sell a house. And you can sell a house with a tenant in there. They can be considered a squatter at that point, depending on how far along you are in the process, the eviction and all that. So there are ways out of that situation. Reason number 6. I almost said step number 6. Reason number 6 is if you're going through divorce. Arguably one of the most sucky out of all of these reasons. Very emotional. Just everything about it sucks. It's a person that you love, and maybe you still love them, and you gotta split your assets and split everything you own and shared. That's not a fun situation. Sometimes it doesn't go that bad if you're on the same page, but oftentimes it can be pretty stressful, especially with an asset like a house, which might be the most valuable asset that you two own together, and now you have to part ways with your partner. So for that, it's definitely a very high reason on this list why people just want to sell as fast as possible, get rid of their house, and move on. Reason number 7, downsizing. This one's not that bad. So a common example, they call them empty nesters, right? So it's if you own a house and you have 6 kids and they're all great and they all, you raise them all and they go off to college or do whatever kids do nowadays, get into Bitcoin, tech stuff, crazy stuff, whatever. They move on and they start their own lives. And now you have a big 7-bedroom house just with you and your partner and your chihuahua. What do? You downsize, right? You don't always have to. If you like the house, maybe you like hosting, you don't have to, but it is a common reason why homeowners sell their house and just want to sell it fast, get rid of it, because it can be costly to maintain and to continue paying the utility bills and all the other bills that come along with owning a house. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, utility bills, right? It's tough it's annoying and kind of difficult to have to heat and cool a house that's 7 bedrooms for only 2 people, right? It's a lot of wasted air, energy, and money in that case. So because of that, it is a reason that people want to sell a house fast. Reason number 8, I wish I had like numbers that popped up on the screen. I'm kind of running out of fingers here. Good thing we're only doing 10 right after use toes. Is moving out of state. This one's pretty common in different ways nowadays too, since a lot of people work from home. And because of that, they're moving out of state by will, right? They want to move out of state and they're not necessarily forced to by their job, but they have that flexibility to now move out of state. So they're shifting things around. But just moving out of state in general, people do it for all sorts of different reasons. Sometimes you get a new job and they tell you to move. Sometimes you can work from home and you want to move. You want to switch things up. You had a revelation and you want to quit your job and go become a yoga teacher somewhere and, embrace your inner self and inner spirituality. Love it all. Lots of reasons, but it is a common reason why people want to sell a house fast just to get out. Or maybe they're on a timeline and a deadline if it's something to do with their employer. So that, once that entices them to want to do the process as quick as possible. Reason number 9 is vacant or damaged houses. So if a property is vacant, it's not doing anything, right? Sometimes it's actually kind of nice to have a vacant property. If I've heard a lot of people they'll own one property and then they'll buy a second one and then have the second one as like storage or for a friend's place or a vacation home, whatever. So that's kind of nice, but I'm thinking more on like a bigger scale. Like if you own a couple of properties and then a bunch of your tenants leave all at the same time and you're dealing with a ton of vacancies, that gets expensive. You have to pay for your mortgage, you have to pay for your insurance, your taxes, all the other expenses that come along with owning a rental property and a property in itself. So for that reason, homeowners oftentimes want to sell a house fast, get out of it, and have their wallet stop, close their wallet so it's not draining any more money. And in a similar way, damaged houses, right? A property can become, because it's so damaged, tenants might move out and it kind of they're intertwined in a certain way. And the last and final reason why someone would want to sell a house fast is just family indifferences was my 10th one. And this can be influenced by any of the previous 9 reasons, which is why I put it last. But just indifferences with family. If you own and there's lots of different examples, right? If you own a property with a sibling, so you went in on it with them and you're living there together, things can change over time, right? They can get married, you can get married, they can lose a job, you can lose a job, you can move, they can move. What do you do next is the question you have to ask yourself a lot throughout the process. And although your intentions might align and your goals for a year, a couple months, a couple years, that can change over time. So you'll just have to make a decision based on those. So lots of different scenarios that can happen there. I don't want to get into too much into the weeds, but those are the 10 top reasons why homeowners want to sell a house fast.